The rest of the story. Her name was Mary Smith. To Johnny, she would always be Aunt Mimi, beloved Aunt Mimi. Johnny never forgot her 12 magic words. It was specific advice, always the same, phrased precisely the same way, and much repeated. The impact of Aunt Mimi's words on Johnny's life, well, that's the rest of the story. When Johnny was 3, his dad deserted the family. A decade later, his mother would be killed in a car wreck. Yet what might have been a tragic childhood was remarkably happy because of Aunt Mimi. Aunt Mimi reared Johnny, and the warmth of their relationship overflowed the void. When Johnny was small, Aunt Mimi offered no serious advice. That would come later. For the time being, she simply loved and protected him the best she knew how. When it became apparent that the small boy was gifted, Aunt Mimi encouraged his creativity, but she would reserve her guidance for his adolescent years. Incidentally, Johnny was quite a gifted youngster. Age 7, he began writing his own little books, all of which Aunt Mimi saved. One was sort of a weekly magazine, which he called Sport Speed and Illustrated. In it, John drew his own cartoons, made up his own jokes, even serialized his own richly imaginative story, each episode which was concluded with these words, "If you like this, come again next week, it'll be even better." Aunt Mimi observed Johnny's intellectual progress proudly and yet quietly. Those things which would stimulate his imagination she made available to him, especially literature like Alice in Wonderland and Wind in the Willows, of which Johnny grew particularly fond. But when it came time for specific advice that might shape the boy's future, Aunt Mimi bit her lip. For now, Johnny would discover things on his own. Aunt Mimi would offer her counsel only when the time was right. So, Johnny grew, as did his creative energy. At last, Aunt Mimi realized the time had come. Young Johnny's life must be given direction because there was something that needed to be said. And that's when she spoke the magic words. The same words, carefully chosen, she reiterated constantly. Almost every day of Johnny's adolescence, her advice was repeated. In fact, Johnny was certain that on one day he counted 10 repetitions of the same phrase. After a while, even when Aunt Mimi was not saying it, the words haunted Johnny. It was an incessant incantation ringing relentlessly in his ears. And let the record show, Johnny did make something special of his life. When he became famous, he often spoke of how his Aunt Mimi had influenced him. When he became wealthy, he bought her a new home and paid all of her bills to show his gratitude. And when the Queen of England knighted him, bestowed upon him the most excellent order of the British Empire, he, Johnny, presented the medal of his investiture to his Aunt Mimi, saying that she deserved it more than he. And a grateful Johnny gave one thing more to the beloved aunt who reared him, something Aunt Mimi was to treasure perhaps more than any other material possession, a large bronze plaque upon which Johnny ordered engraved the magic words which Aunt Mimi spoke so frequently, the much-repeated advice that he could recall for the rest of his life, the challenge he grew determined to accept, the inspiration to prove Aunt Mimi wrong. The talented teenager, motivated to greatness by that dare, became the phenomenally successful Beatle, John Lennon. And the advice, the dozen magic words which he said challenged him, the phrase which he had inscribed on a bronze plaque and presented to its beloved author, the repetitious admonition which launched John Lennon to superstardom, these were the words, quote, "The guitar is all right, but you'll never earn your living with it." Now you know the rest of the story.